Hello everyone, my name's Faye and today I'm going to read a story to the little ones. Yes, you might remember me because I might have read to you in the library. Today the story is called Mr. Funny Upsets Mr. Fussy. And this is my friend Big Ted, who I'm going to be reading to today as well as you. Wave! Mr. Funny lives in a teapot-shaped house. He drives a shoe-shaped car and he has a teacup-shaped bath. Mr. Fussy lives in a very ordinary house and he drives a very ordinary car and his bath is a very ordinary bath. Mr. Funny is a very funny fellow. So funny that when he pulls one of his funny faces, you can't help but laugh. So there's one of his funny faces. It's a bit weird, but funny. Mr. Fussy is a very serious person. Very serious about keeping everything neat and tidy and spick and span. Now, Mr. Funny lives at the very end of Long Lane, and Mr. Fussy lives halfway down Long Lane. So whenever Mr. Funny goes out for a drive in his shoe car, he has to pass Mr. Fussy's house. Every time that Mr. Funny passes Mr. Fussy, he pulls one of his funny faces. And as hard as he tries, Mr. Fussy can't help laughing. He laughs so much that he ends up having accidents. Like the time he was mowing his lawn. He laughed so much he ruined all his nice straight lines. And there's him laughing and all his straight lines until this bit. Tut, 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 Mr. Funny. And when he was cleaning his windows, he laughed so much he fell off his ladder and squashed his prize pumpkin. And he burnt his shoelaces while he was ironing them. Lots of accidents there. Mr. Fussy was fed up. There's his face and he looks very fed up. I wouldn't like to be him. But then he had an idea. He put up a sign on the lane just before his house. It read, "Please beep your horn." That should work, he said to himself. The idea was that if Mr. Funny beeped his horn, Mr. Fussy would have some warning and he could stop whatever he was doing. The next day, Mr. Funny was driving down the lane as usual when he saw Mr. Fussy's sign. So he beeped his car horn and stopped his shoe car outside Mr. Fussy's gate. Mr. Fussy had not reckoned on the sound that Mr. Funny's car horn would make. It doesn't go beep. Oh no, it sounds like somebody is making a very loud raspberry. Went his car horn. Mr. Fussy was outside in his coal bunker, stacking his coal in neat rows. Mr. Fussy doesn't like untidy piles of coal. When Mr. Fussy heard the sound of Mr. Funny's car made, he started to giggle. And then he chuckled and then he laughed. And he laughed so much that he fell over into his neatly stacked coal. Once he had recovered from his laughing fit, he stormed out of his coal bunker. He was covered from head to toe in coal. He was furious. So there's him, all black because of the coal. And there's Mr. Funny. I think he might be chuckling. He stormed over to Mr. Funny. "That's the most ridiculous car horn I have ever heard," he yelled at Mr. Funny. "There's a reason for that," Mr. Funny explained. "It's because it's not a car horn. It's a shoehorn. Ha ha ha, he laughed. And even Mr. Fussy had to admit it was quite funny. Wouldn't you agree? Thank you for listening to our story. Bye!